Her father's voice echoed through our home like a bad sitcom laugh track I never signed up for. Every weekend it was the same. Him lounging on my couch, beer belly spilling over his belt, mouth full of crude, sexist jokes that made even the dog leave the room. But Rachel, my wife, would just laugh. Every single time. Like this was normal. Like her father insulting my cooking, mocking my job, or commenting on women's bodies on TV, was all part of the family charm. It wasn't. When we got married 3 years ago, Rachel promised we'd build something new. Something of our own. But slowly, I watched our home become her father's second bachelor pad. And every time I brought it up, tried to explain how the comments made me feel, she'd shrug. It's just how he is, she'd say. Don't take it so personally. But how could I not, when the man called me Mr. Wallet at dinner, in front of her friends, like I was just her bank account? The final straw came one evening when we had a small dinner party. Rachel's dad had already downed his third beer when he turned to me and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "You know what they say, if you can't make her scream in bed, at least make her moan with your credit card." The whole table went silent. My face flushed, not from shame, but sheer disbelief. I looked at Rachel, expecting outrage. Or at least discomfort. Instead she laughed. A deep, embarrassing belly laugh, and added, "Well, he's not wrong." I stood up, shaken. I'm not going to sit here and be disrespected like this. Her smile dropped. "Oh please," she said. "If you don't like it, you can just pay for dinner and leave." That was it. Without another word, I reached into my jacket pocket, pulled out my wallet, and then my divorce papers. I had filed 2 days earlier, after months of quiet planning, just in case she ever showed me exactly who she really was. I placed them on the table and said, "Consider this my final tab." Rachel's smirk vanished the moment her eyes landed on the divorce papers. Her father leaned forward, squinting, as if the words might rearrange themselves into a joke. But there was no punchline coming. Only silence, thick and suffocating. The room, once brimming with shallow laughter and her dad's booming voice, now felt like a courtroom. I could feel every pair of eyes shifting between us, waiting to see what would happen next. For the first time in a long time, I had taken back the power she thought she had a monopoly on. Rachel sputtered, trying to play it off. "What is this? You're being dramatic." "Am I?" I replied calmly, my voice steady in a way I hadn't felt in years. "You've been letting your father insult me for as long as we've been married. You've laughed along with him, stood by while he degraded me in front of your friends, and now you tell me to just pay and leave like I'm some kind of customer in your life?" The truth was, I hadn't been a husband in that house for a long time. I had been a provider, a chauffeur, a passive participant in my own marriage. The man I used to be, patient, forgiving, hopeful, had slowly eroded under the weight of her indifference and entitlement. And yet I still tried. I still came home every night hoping for a different version of her to appear. But this moment? This dinner? It made one thing blindingly clear. She didn't just tolerate the disrespect. She encouraged it. I left that night with more than just a sign bill. I left with purpose. Over the next 24 hours, I changed every lock on the house. The utilities? In my name. The joint bank account? Frozen. The credit card she used to shop online every weekend? Cancelled. I left her just enough to cover basic needs, but the luxury life her father joked I financed? Gone. This wasn't out of pettiness. It was a line in the sand. I had paid, and now I was leaving. She called. Again and again. First laughing. Then confused. Then furious. By the third voicemail, she was screaming. "You can't do this. I'm your wife." "No, Rachel. You were my wife, until you laughed with the man who belittled me and told me I could pay and leave." So I did. And I made damn sure you felt it. Her father's face was priceless when he realized the gravity of what was unfolding. The man who used to crack crude jokes at my expense across the dinner table, puffed up with false bravado, now sat slumped in a plastic chair in the courthouse hallway, his lips trembling slightly. For years I'd nodded politely, swallowed the discomfort, and allowed his daughter, my wife, to excuse his behavior with that same grating phrase. "Oh come on, that's just how my dad is." Now he was realizing just how much control I'd quietly held. Every financial string that propped up their overinflated sense of superiority was being cut, one thread at a time. Rachel tried playing the victim in those final weeks, showing up at my office unannounced, sending long-winded emails full of half-apologies and twisted logic. "We can still work through this," she wrote. "You know my dad didn't mean harm. You've always been sensitive." Sensitive. That word struck like a blade. The same word she used to laugh with her friends about me behind my back. The same word she used to dismiss my concerns every time I told her her father's jokes were demeaning, or that her teasing was eroding me from the inside out. I wasn't sensitive. I was just silent. And now, finally, I wasn't. I sold the house. Changed my number. I even got rid of the furniture, opting for a clean, simple space that felt like breathing after years of choking. There was no drama in how I left. No grand confrontation. Just silence. Cold, surgical, and final. Rachel's father would now need to find a new investor. Rachel herself would need to rebuild the life she thought she'd always have, without my money, without my patience, and without my silence. And me? I found peace in solitude. In waking up and knowing no one was quietly chipping away at me with words disguised as humor. I wasn't rebuilding. I was reinventing. And this time, I wouldn't let anyone shame me into staying silent again.